Hello and welcome to Getting Started with Geopointe for new users. Today we're going to learn the basics of Geopointe. We'll start by going on a quick tour of the Geopointe user interface, then we'll jump right in. For those of you who are not yet familiar with Geopointe, Geopointe is an application that resides within your Salesforce instance and allows you to quickly and easily gain spatial insights and apply geography to business processes. Geopointe is accessed by clicking on the Map tab in Salesforce. There are three main areas that you'll interact with. The first one being the map. This is where your data is displayed. And the map data list view. And this is where your data is displayed in list form. There are also shape drawing tools on the right-hand side of the screen. And the control panel is where you choose the data that you want to display on the map. So let's take a quick tour of the map. So here's your control panel. It contains 6 tabs. So here we have the layers tab, which is the tab we're on. And here you can search data sets and add other layers on the map. So this is where everything's stored. And next you have your layers. This is what's currently on the map. So if I click on the layers tab, see there's one data set. You can see some relevant info. You have 11 accounts and this much in annual revenue. From here you can even toggle, so if you only want to see your hot accounts, you can do that very easily. You also have a legend tab down here. See the same info. And next tab, we have the search tab. So let's say you want to change your location. So you're planning your trip. You can change, enter an address or a landmark. That will change your current location. Next tab we have is the My Locations tab. So if there's locations that are relevant to you and you're always going to be using, you can save them in here. Next, you have the Routes tab. So this is where you'll be pulling up existing routes and creating routes. And I already covered the Legends tab, so no need to click on that. Now towards the bottom, we have a list view. This shows the same data that is displayed on the map pins, but it's just in a spreadsheet-like form. So you can see here we have the annual revenue and account type. You'll see that same info down here on the list view. You also have inline editing, so if you want to make any changes, you can do that very easily from the little pop-up here or down here. You also have this drive distance column that works for your nearby searches. So since we're doing a nearby search, you'll have this drive distance column. You can refresh that and then you can sort. So if you want to get to your accounts, kind of the closest, so like in this case we're doing ascending, so go from the least drive time. And on the right hand side, we have some drawing controls. So if you want to draw a polygon on the map, search that and do that very easily. You also have a GeoShape library. Next we have a personal settings. So if you click here on the little gear icon, top right hand side, there's a wide variety of settings. One of the most important ones is a setting starting point. So depending where you're on the map, if you want to set a default starting point, for example, if you don't want it to use your current location, you would uncheck the Use Geolocation checkbox and then click Set Starting Position. There's other settings here that we can cover, but the most important one is a set starting position. All right, so let's move on to our next slide. Now, your data sets are located on the Save Layers tab. So it's a little folder tab there towards the bottom. Datasets define what Salesforce data is shown on the map and are based on the Salesforce object, whether it's a standard or custom object. For those of you familiar with Salesforce reports, this is our version. We think it's much more intuitive. You can filter based on fields on the object or related to the object. Adding fields to a data set, just like you would add fields to a report. This is where you can customize the fields on the pop-up and on the list view, as we demonstrated earlier. You can display fields on the app object you're mapping and on related objects. And let's get into marker configuration. By default, the pins on the map are static, but you can color code the map pins by a related field. In this example, I've color coded based on account rating, so I can see at a glance where my hot, warm, and cold accounts are. There are 4 ways to search the map. Nearby pulls up data within a certain radius. So for example, if you're using your current location and you do a nearby search, it'll search records around you. Shape limits the search results to an area that you have predefined. Map view will populate the area that you are currently viewing on the map. And as the name implies, everywhere will search the whole world. Now let's talk about searching with shapes. Geopointe offers a wide variety of geographic boundaries for you to use to build out your shapes on the map. At a highest level, we have shapes that follow country boundaries. For many countries, we also have states, postal codes, and counties. These can be used in their own or combined into a larger shape. Now let's get into a demo and see where our most valuable accounts are. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a data set from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and click here on the little plus button. Click Datasets. We'll call this Accounts. And we'll select the map object. And we'll just save it in my personal save layer so it's only available to me. If I want to make this public, I can just select none. All right, so let's go ahead and add a filter. So we're going to add a filter. We'll do the amount. So annual revenue. And we'll do, well, for the operator, we'll select, we'll just go with greater than. We'll do 5,000. So now when I click on field here, add field, we'll add the annual revenue. And we'll also add the rating field. Okay. And we'll click here on markers. The marker type, we'll do color by field. We'll do account rating. It's going to generate a legend for me automatically. I can change the colors, so maybe I want to change this to red and add a star to that. Warm. Let's just select any color. And for cold, we'll do blue. All right, so I'm ready to save. Save. Close. We'll go ahead and click here on my personal save layers. And here it is, accounts with higher than 5K. This pulls up my accounts with revenue higher than 5K. So now what I want to do, let's go ahead and click here on the map layers. As you can see here, I have 9 accounts and it totals to this amount in annual revenue. So now let's go ahead and click on the heat map. This little icon here, a little flame. And I like seeing my markers. So as right off the bat, it looks like there's a record concentration here, about 2 accounts. But now what I want to do, I want to drive this heat map by annual revenue. And it looks like everything just changed. So it looks like all of my revenue is coming from this account over here. So annual revenue. So it looks like this is a good account to visit. So now let's take a look at the legend. So, I don't really want to see my cold accounts. They don't really mean anything to me right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and hide those. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add a zip code shape here. So I'm going to go ahead and click here on the Geo Library shape icon, little globe. And I want to view my data by default. Your layers are hidden when you're adding these shapes on the map, or creating them in this case. So go ahead and unhide that. I'm going to click here on the green globe, and we'll just call this CA. And we'll leave it in my personal save layers. And I want to do zip codes. All right, so I'm just going to draw one real quick. We'll go ahead and save. Now if I click here, I want to click on the shape, and you can see one account in this shape, which is a Southern CA shape, and the 90802 zip code. I have one account, and I have totals this amount. There's other actions you can use. So if I wanted to maybe do a mass update, I can do that very easily. I can add any of those records to a route. So this can be done for the whole shape, or you can do it by the subshape. So in this case, if I wanted to mass update records that fall within the 90802 zip code, I can do that very easily, or add to a route, things like that. If I click here on the layers, I get an overview. So I have this Southern CA, 4 accounts, total this amount in annual revenue. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So let's talk about routing. So with routing, you can create routes with up to 100 stops. These routes can be shared. The ownership can also be transferred. So if you're responsible for onboarding new Geopointe users, you can easily create routes for them or either share it with them or make them the owner. This is great for the internal sales rep planning everyone's trip. That applies to you. So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So let's talk about route optimization. If you do not have a specific order you need to visit your locations in, Optimize will give you the most efficient order in between stops. Check the Optimize checkbox in the upper left hand of the route list. Your first and last stops will stay intact, so make sure that you have those where you want them first. It will rearrange everything in between those stops. So maybe you have your hotel be your starting point and your ending point. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So let's go ahead and build a route to visit my top accounts and my nearby leads. So let's go ahead and click here on the Legends tab. So here we have a total of 2 leads and 9 accounts. So I can add to a route very easily by clicking here on the Add to Route button. Or if I want to add them all at once, I can do that by clicking here to the bottom and clicking Add to Route. Okay. So let's say I wanted to work off the I-5, and I'll just go ahead and click here on the Draw Polygon option. Say, all right, so these are the accounts that I want to work off, and I want to stay away from LA. So this is all I'm going to be working with. Excellent. Now let me click Show Legend here. I don't want to see the cold ones. So now if I click here on the polygon, I can click Actions, and I can add all to route. So I'm going to go ahead and add all to route. So now if I click on the little route icon here, I can optimize the route, so this will come up with the best possible order. And then from here, these are where the geolocations come in handy. So if I have a, hotel that I frequent when I'm in this area, I can just add it here to the route. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to demonstrate our address places search feature. So I'm going to click here on the red magnifying glass. Maybe we'll do Embassy Suites. And I know I visit this one, so maybe I want to see all the ones that are around me. So, do a search. Okay, so I know that the one that I was staying at, it was on the other side of the I-5 near Disneyland. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this one. I know I'm gonna go ahead and click save to my locations. So I'm going to click on my locations here, and I know there was a Embassy Suites that I saved here last time, so I'm gonna go ahead and click add to route. I'm gonna add that twice. So now I'm gonna click on the routes icon, and I want to move this up, move up, and we'll move the other one all the way down. I can also drag. All right, so I have my starting point and my endpoint here, and I want to just make sure this is done right. So I'll go ahead and re-optimize just to make sure. And so now what it's doing, it's gonna what I already did. It's optimizing everything that falls in between the first and the last stop. Okay. Now I want to go ahead and save. And we'll go ahead and give it a save. And now from here, you have the options to share the route. So if I want to, if I'm an internal sales rep and I want to share this with one of my colleagues, I can do that very easily. So you'll see here the list of Geopointe users. You can also transfer ownership. So if you wanted to change the owner, you can do that very easily. All right, so we've successfully created a route. So let's move on to our next slide. All right, so let's talk about mobile. As a native application, Geopointe lives within your Salesforce. Just as it lives within Salesforce on your desktop, you can run searches, execute on those routes, and identify nearby customers or prospects. All right, so let's pull up my route in Salesforce 1. And of course, we're enjoying Salesforce 1. Let's go ahead and just remind me later. So we'll go ahead and pull up that route. And oh yeah, there it goes. OC trip December 1st. Excellent. So this pulls up the route for us. From here, I know Aeropoint Corp's my first stop since I'm leaving from my hotel. One of the great things of working with the mobile device, it's going to pull up your current location. That'll be your starting point. So great to have. So you don't necessarily have to plot your first and last stop. So from here, we have the view record action. So let's say I wanted to view records of this account. So let's see what's going on at Aeropoint Corp. Everything's good. And I'll go back. And I can navigate. So if I click the navigate option, looks like I'm not that far away. A minute away, not that bad. And then from here, I can check in. So I can make notes here, share on the feed. So this is going to create a check-in record, which is related to the account that I just checked into. So I can always run reports. We also have the checkout. Checkout is great if you want to track meeting times. So using the check-in, checkout, it definitely brings a great benefit. So let's kind of run it through the scenario that maybe Aeropoint Corp canceled on me for whatever reason. I'll go ahead and remove this. And maybe if I'm having just a bad day, Santa Fe Springs swap meet just canceled on me. So I'm going to remove those from the route. So all of a sudden I got 2 hours to burn, so I need to find something to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and click back. And you know what? I'm gonna run a search. I want to see what else is around me, and maybe I want to limit this down to 25 miles, as we all know how traffic is in Southern California. So I'm gonna go ahead and run counts 5K, and wow, I just got a lot here. So you know what? I'm gonna make the trip to Laguna Beach, and we'll go up over here near Ontario. Oh. All right. So just like that, I've filled in some time. So you also have the option. So if you want to add additional fields like the phone number, and you want to call on these before you actually line them up on the route, you can do that. So it looks like I'm ready to go. So I'm gonna go to my route. You know what? I want to optimize. Click navigate. All right. So that's a wrap. A thematic layer allows you to roll up metrics such as record count, amounts, values, and other numeric fields grouped by and colored by geographic boundaries. Each individual shape on the map is clickable to get more information. You can also view concentrations on the legend located on the Map Layers tab. Similar to heat maps, thematic layers allows you to see concentrations clearly delineated by geographic boundaries, rather than simply hotspots. This is all done with a few clicks and is part of the core Geopointe product. So let's go ahead and demo our thematic layers in Geopointe. All right, so let's go ahead and demo the thematic layers here. So here I'm kind of zoomed into on a southwest region. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add this thematic layer by county. So based on the viewable area on the map, it's gonna generate, in this case, counties that have data populated within them. So if I click here on LA County, as you can see, there's a higher concentration, and we can see that by clicking on the legend. So if I go to the Layers tab and I just click Show Legend, you'll see here, as you can see, the amounts are greater here. And if I click here on this San Bernardino County, there's about 3 accounts, not as much revenue. Okay. And that's thematic layers in a nutshell. These can be done by county, by zip code, as well as other libraries. Adding records to a campaign is a breeze using Geopointe Add to Campaign feature. There are many geographic boundaries, including radiuses, you can use to add records to a campaign on the Geopointe map. All right, let's get to our target marketing demo. All right, so one of the options we have, we can do a nearby search for 25 miles in this case. And maybe I want to do a search for my contacts. So bring up all my contacts that fall within a 25-mile radius. Then what I can do towards the bottom, Actions button, I can click the Add to Campaign button. This will bring up the Add to Campaign pop-up. And then from here, I could just select the campaign that I want to add these contacts to. And I could just click Create Members, and I'll add them to the campaign. In this case, I didn't add any, since I already had added them before. Now another option is we can maybe mark it to a zip code. So what I can do, I can bring up this 928 zips. So what I can do is target individual zip codes. So if there's a zip code that I want to mark it to, I can click on the shape, the subshape in this case, and click the actions, and I can scroll all the way to the bottom and click the Add to Campaign button, and this will do. This will mark it to only that zip code. Now, if I were to click the Add to Campaign button over here for the 928 zips area, then I can target the whole shape. All right, so that's just a brief overview of adding to a campaign in Geopointe. For any questions you might have, feel free to contact us. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Hope to see you soon.